All right, testing, officially over here on YouTube. Josh Does Movies, my first ever live stream. I figured instead of, doing what we've been doing with some of the what I watch each week, episodes coming out, I wanted to try something new and exciting, which is to bring live stream over here to Josh Does Movies. Give a little bit more talk about. I'll try to do two of these a week, one on Monday evenings and afternoons, and one on Wednesday afternoons. I might sneak in a Saturday night or a Sunday if I have time, but we're going to talk about here a few things. I didn't do a Josh Does Movies weekly recap last week, so that means we'll include Creed 3 and The Mandalorian episode 1 in here. We're going to talk about, obviously, the Oscars last night. What a great ceremony. Everything Everywhere All at Once is a huge winner overall. We're going to talk about Scream 6. It opened this weekend to $44 million, the biggest in Scream franchise history. My thoughts on that movie, giving more spoiler thoughts. We're going to talk about other things going on. Last of Us finale happened. What does everybody think about how the show ended? Again, if you're somebody who finds this and you're joining live, feel free to subscribe. I'm not looking to do much more than just keep growing my channel out and find people who love talking about movies and TV shows and stuff like that. Without further ado, I want to get into the action today with the Oscars. That's kind of my first go-to. The Oscars happened last night, and it was an amazing ceremony. I was going to live stream my reaction here on YouTube, but unfortunately, I realized that I have to wait 24 hours to be able to live stream stuff on YouTube. So instead, it ended up coming on Twitch, my Twitch channel, Wrath of Khan. But from now on, all my streams for movies and stuff will be here on this YouTube channel, Josh Does Movies. The Oscars was clearly a big night for the Daniels. Everything Everywhere All at Once. All Quiet on the Western Front was the other big one, winning 4 awards last night. You had big surprises, kind of surprise wins like Jamie Lee Curtis get in there. Avatar: The Way of Water won visual effects. Top Gun: Maverick won best sound. Woman Talking won best adapted screenplay. I'm so happy that the adapted screenplay went to a movie that I think deserved that. Because there were some movies in there that were nominated that I wasn't too sure on. I definitely think The Whale was a movie that I think could have been nominated, but it just wasn't for whatever reason. But just breaking down kind of my thoughts on the evening, I think the first things first, we have to talk about Everything Everywhere All at Once. The speeches by Jamie Lee Curtis, the Daniels, their editor, Ki Hee Kui Kwan, Michelle Yeoh, even the end one at the end of the night with their producer. This was just, I think, this movie winning was so feel good because everybody in every aspect felt very authentic and very innocent and very is happy that they're winning. There wasn't any major political messages going. There's a lot of stuff that maybe you or I may think may sound like a political message, but really that in their industry, what they deal with, it is just perfectly well said and things well done. Starting off with Ki Hee Kwan winning Best Supporting Actor with this movie. Everybody knew he was going to win. I think going in, he gives such a honorable and such a loving speech. He's one of the he didn't lead the Oscars because we had Jimmy Kimmel, and I'll get more into my thoughts on the Jimmy Kimmel stuff later on here. And we also had Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio win for animation. I'm happy that got kind of front and center stage, but I do think a lot of people in Hollywood just push animation back, and it's kind of sad, but I think Guillermo del Toro's acceptance speech for that. But Hugh Kwan was just so good in Everything Everywhere All at Once. He was very close to being a lead actor, but he was really supportive of Michelle Yeoh in that movie, and he played so many different parts and so many different emotional beats in that movie. It was one of the best supporting actor I think wins and roles that somebody's had in a long time, and having him kind of come back, having that story, seeing how much that everybody rooted for him to win, and everybody wanted him to win. Everybody was so happy. It was such a great moment. He gave such a great and powerful speech, and that led right into the next award for Everything Everywhere All at Once, which was the Best Supporting Actress. And I know I was one of the people, and there's many people who thought that trying to remember her name from Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. I was just listening to people talk about this. Angela Bassett. I thought she was going to be a lock to win. She was very, very good in Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. I know some people said she gave kind of an upset scowl when she didn't win, and I think that's fair. These people, it would have been her first Oscar too, just like it was for Jamie Lee Curtis. I think I think she was hoping she would win. It felt like she was going to win. She won so many other awards leading up to this. So for her not to get it, I definitely think was upsetting. And it's okay, at first to not be happy and understanding. And you aren't there just to always clap and move forward all the way. But, you know, Jamie Lee Curtis with such an amazing speech about talking about everybody who supported her in genre films, mainly horror with things like Halloween. She was always in there for comedies too. We all everybody remembers uh, Freaky Friday and stuff like that. I personally would have rather see if somebody won from Everything Everywhere All at Once. Stephanie Hsu take the win here. I think her performance in that movie was so important and so fluid, just like Ki Kwan's and Michelle Yeoh's, and even Jamie Lee Curtis's. I think I would have given it to her, but I do think the Academy body knows Jamie Lee. She's been around a long time. She's never really been up for Academy Awards. This is her first chance to really have a win for the rest of her life, and she was able to win this award. And her speech was great, telling everybody in the cast, "Hey, we just won an Oscar." Everybody who supports me in my genre films, we just won an Oscar. Talking to her parents who are both Oscar nominated, and she ended it with that, and instead of saying I won an Oscar. It was just so emotional and so moving, and just again authentic feeling, and that's what this movie by A24 felt like when you're watching it, and that's what they felt like all last night. The next award they won, I believe, was going to be either for editing or screenplay. Both, the editing individual comes up and he mentions that this was the second movie he's ever edited. Again, authentic, emotional, just thankful. The Daniels were thanking teachers. They were being so fresh. They weren't feeling like they were juggernauts and expecting to win because it's their duty. They were just, you can tell that not just from the movie that we saw, but how they acted here. They just love what they do and they put their heart into a movie like this, and they're just so happy to see it represented per se, and it be loved by the all those around them as much, and really kind of hits the message of the movie altogether. And then obviously we had the big surprise, with Michelle. Well, Daniel's one of the directors as well too. We had Michelle Yeoh win the Best Actress, and I was so happy. I mean, Cate Blanchett in Tar was very deserving, and if she won, I would have been excited and happy for her. But I loved Michelle Yeoh in this role ever since the movie came out last April. It's one of my biggest, watch things on this channel is my review of that movie, and generally speaking, great movie, great following, and great fan base, and I can't say enough positive about Michelle Yeoh in that movie and what we got going forward there. And to have it end up being such a strong and positive win for her. And her speech was also amazing. Another amazing speech by another Everything Everywhere All at Once. A24, as a studio, you had it with Brendan Fraser as well. Amazing speech for Best Actor. I'll get into him in a second or two. And then obviously got rounded out with Harrison Ford. I mean, we all knew at that point. The minute we saw Jamie Lee Curtis win Best Supporting Actress, I was like, on Twitter, I was like, okay, this is over. Everything Everywhere All at Once is going to sweep up a lot of awards tonight. Best Picture's over. Then All Quiet on the Western Front won things like Best Cinematography, Best Production Design, Best International Film. It won one other award. I'm trying to remember what it was, but you're like, oh, All Quiet is taking these technical awards. Does it have a chance to upset Everything Everywhere in the end? I mean, when it got to the screenplay categories, you're like, okay, no, this is Everything's night. We're back on the Everything Everywhere All at Once train. And when they want so you already knew who was winning that, and you saw Harrison Ford, and you're just like, okay, this is the Academy saying Ki Kwan. Everybody remembers him as Short Round from Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. He gets to get his movie is getting awarded the Best Picture by Harrison Ford one of his idols, one of his closest friends, and his like excitement to get up there with Harrison Ford was just truly amazing. And then also when Harrison was looking to give him an Oscar, he was like, "No, no, no, give that statue to somebody else right now. I've gotten mine already." Just so authentic, and I hope they can get a movie together with something or some type of show or something together because they're a dynamic duo and they truly do care and enjoy each other, which is something you don't see, I think, in Hollywood a lot when it comes to these individuals. And that's why I think last night was just special for the Oscars because everybody that was involved in a lot of these movies, just especially these, everything everywhere all at once, just felt authentic. They felt so happy to be there. They felt like this was their time to shine, and they weren't trying to take it away from anybody, and they weren't trying to move it into like a political aspect or anything like that, which some people feel that Oscars sometimes does. So everything everywhere all at once was just a huge hit of the night. Um, made the made the whole presentation so much better. They set the tone early on with Jamie Lee Curtis, Guillermo del Toro, and Ke Huy Quan with their awards. And from there on out, we had a great evening. Brendan Fraser was the other one that everybody kind of followed the SAG Awards, but Brendan Fraser did win Best Actor. Everybody knew this was kind of a three-horse race between Colin Farrell, Austin Butler, and him. And again, Brendan Fraser comes very short, very authentic, very sweet, just talking about how much it meant to him, how where he's at with his career. Again, this great speech. I personally had The Whale as one of my top 10 movies at the Oscars this year. I was sad to see it didn't get a Best Picture nom or a Best Adapted Screenplay nom, but so is so. But that was that part of the Oscars. Then when it comes to Jimmy Kimmel, I don't think we really needed to have a host for the Oscars this year. I think while I enjoyed and laughed at his bits per se, and things like Cocaine Bear with Elizabeth Banks presenting, great bits, great bits. I felt like we could have trimmed off 10 to 15 minutes, if not almost 30 to 45 minutes, of Jimmy Kimmel and what he was doing to make the awards go faster. I also think the playing of the songs, whether I know everybody enjoys the music and songs, but I think there's another area where, like, I don't know if we need to dedicate 15, 20 minutes to all the songs being played. You could have made this 3.5, almost 4 hour telecast be down in an hour or so, and I think it'd be easier for people to watch throughout the night because it ended around probably close to midnight on the East Coast, and it started up around 8 o'clock on the East Coast. So it was way too long of an award show. If it wasn't for the good energy brought by the winners and some really good, easy speeches, who knows how this would have felt and stuff. We also saw RRR Not To win Best Song, which I'm very happy about. The performance was very good there. I think that everybody's probably very happy about that when it comes to RRR and things like that. And then following up with the Oscars, though, that's kind of my last thoughts on the Oscars. I think nobody's really in this live stream right now. If you are, please say something if you want to. Leave a like and subscribe. But I'm going to go ahead and get started into our next topic here on the Monday edition of my live stream, and that is the Last of Us finale. Wow, I watched this as well alongside the Oscars because in the middle part of the Oscars, that's when you get more of the documentary short films, animated shorts, and stuff like that. So I decided to bring up the Last of Us finale. I knew it was only going to be about 45 minutes or so, and it was a very very good finale for me. I think it's sad, as the show has generally been a very sad show. But I think they built up Joel's character so much to understand where he's at with Ellie, to understand where this decision and what happens comes through. I don't know if we needed to have if there should have been like maybe a little bit more space between the David episode and the finale. I'm not somebody who played the games. I did think maybe that was a little bit of a quick, like, whiplashy type feel after such a powerful and great performance by Bella Ramsey's Ellie in that episode, but seeing the opening of this episode with Ashley Johnson, the voice actress of Ellie in the game, as I've been told, kind of show how Ellie's origin story in a way. her, and what happened with there and Ellie's mom and Marlene. Seeing them come up to Salt Lake City, go into the city. The scene with the giraffe was beautifully done, showing the how the nature is kind of taking back over, in this world in different places. Um, seeing Joel kind of be reconnect with Marlene and understanding what they were finally, what their goal was and what they were always looking to do with Ellie, and how much it hurt Marlene as well too to know what was happening. And I kind of wish we got a little bit more time with Hera and Joel were together, but I knew they couldn't, why they didn't do that. And then finally seeing Joel turn to be like, no, this is my second chance with a daughter like figure. I'm not going to let her go over hopes of something. And you not sure like if it's a great thing to see Joel kill all of these Firefly individuals to potentially take away the hope of this world, their chance at getting back to normal and finding a cure for the cordyceps per se. It was violent. It was sad to kind of see Ellie come around and not realize, what exactly happened. I wonder how long in season 2 it will take before she fully realizes what Joel did. Seeing Joel kill the doctor, I mean, that has to have some type of meaning. They really, really, really did a close up on the doctor who was looking to perform the surgery there. But I just like this. I think Pedro Pascal and Bella Ramsey make an amazing duo. I think this show, besides maybe a couple of different episodes, was just really well done throughout. I think this is HBO's new hit. We see video games and content, being brought into the main fold in a much more successful way when they're paired alongside the executives developers who made the game and understand these characters. Neil Druckmann being a part of this series, as well as the showrunner of Chernobyl, both played an equal part in how great this was able to be done. I think Neil was able to show people what Ellie and Joel are like. They made some good changes from what I can tell from the game, from what people tell me. We'll always remember episode 3 with Bill and Frank. Episode 8, again, second best episode of the season. Bella Ramsey killed it as Ellie in that episode. And this episode here was just violent. It was sad. I don't know if there was more time you could have sat on that, but I feel like kind of rushing through it's like ripping off a band-aid, and now we all have to sit and feel like, what was that? How was that done? Like, was that good? Was that bad? Would I would have done that? I'm more on the side of Joel. I understand where he came from, but it's an impossible decision about, do you sacrifice the person who's kept you alive and you've grown close to and everything like that, for the savior of the world, or do you make your choice and potentially kill off one of the last remaining hopes of this world not ending? And it was just a good finale for this show, and I think moving forward, I know it's going to be a little bit longer. I know they said that they're going to have more infected next season, but I am so happy to have gone on the journey with The Last of Us here. These 9 episodes have been a real big joy, and I think for everybody wondering about House of the Dragon, Rings of Power, Succession this year, who's going to win the best show at the Emmys. We just got done talking about the Oscars, so soon it'll be Emmy season that'll take place. I think this is the front runner by far. I think this is the best show we've seen on TV in quite a while, and I hope it's gonna win a lot of awards, but we'll see where that's at this point. But down to the next category, Scream 6. I got a chance to see this last Thursday in theaters, and I have come to enjoy the Scream franchise. Normally, I am somebody who isn't the biggest fan of horror, gory, bloody type stuff, but the Scream franchise has made me not a baby. And Jenna Ortega and Melissa Barrera as Sam and Tara, stole my heart in this movie. I think Ghostface as well had amazing kills, had amazing sequences. There's a great bodega scene. There's a great scene on a subway. You know, I think this movie would have been almost better being around Halloween, because then you would have got the aspect of, okay, this is happening around Halloween. Everybody in the costume. I think you could get some really interesting and fun things being shown from this movie from that. But this was a scary Scream movie. The jokes and commentary were also very well done throughout, but the Scream itself, I think, was just top of the notch. I think it was funny. I liked the core four. I did guess the twist, and that's the one thing that I didn't like about this was I thought the twist was so obvious on who the killers were and why they killed it. I know some people have said they didn't guess it at all, so I guess that's just kind of how these movies go. But I picked it up very early on. I was like, well, it's not going to be any of these core people. You know, it's going to be some people that are new. Um, Hayden Panettiere comes in here and she does good in this movie, but I just thought the twist was a little bit obvious. But I do think Melissa Barrera and Jenna Ortega are two superstar actresses here. I think Jenna Ortega, especially, I think her acting is very well done. I know we all love her from Wednesday. She was good in X last year. She was great in Scream 5 last year. This is another great success. It made $44 million in the opening weekend, so it was able to just be the best Scream opening ever. So I don't know if anybody here has seen this movie or they want to see this movie, but it's a huge recommendation from me. I think this is a franchise that has a lot of ways to go forward. I do think Sam having the history with her father, and kind of the ending sequence of this movie, I think would be kind of cool to see where exactly they're going to go in this next movie. I wouldn't mind it. This is full fan theory per se, but I wouldn't mind if the next movie was a bunch of people trying to be Ghostface and trying to get to her and kill her, and we find out that Melissa Barrera is being Ghostface, killing all of them off to save herself from getting killed. That's where it's be tough to be done, but that's where I would go with this next movie overall. But either way, big recommendation from me. It was a great time. I laughed. I blocked my eyes out. I was really impressed with the bodega scene. Like I said, the opening of the movie also too was great and unique for Scream, which is hard for a franchise that has 6 openings at this point. And the subway scene, yeah, and you see the subway a little bit in trailers, but I'm just like, man, I can't imagine if people started doing that as like a flash mob in real life. I would be scared shitless in the real world. Seeing the ghost faces just move closer and closer to you every time you get a little bit of the blackness per se. So yeah, so that's gonna be my talk about Scream 6 there. Biggest opening for Scream ever. We'll see how it does next weekend, but I'm pretty sure this movie's already made a profit. We're definitely getting Scream 7. This is another huge win for Paramount as they continue a now second year in a row run of just having financial success after financial success after financial success. The next thing I'm going to talk about, the catch up from last week, is Creed 3. This is an MGM movie. It'll probably be on Amazon in the next month and a half or 2 months. We had Michael B. Jordan, obviously, as Adonis Creed. Going up against his former friend. I want to say, is it Jonathan Taylor? Who is this? Who plays Jonathan Majors as his former friend growing up that ended up going to prison for kind of defending Michael B. Jordan's Adonis Creed in a sticky situation. This is a movie that I did enjoy a lot. I think the boxing sequences were creative. I think that the rivalry between these two was very good. I think this was a very good movie. The acting was really great for Tessa Thompson, Michael B. Jordan, and Jonathan Majors was amazing in the first part of the movie. He's amazing in the whole movie, but especially the first part. Jonathan Majors is just a world-class actor. And one of the best. I think he's going to be winning Oscars in the next 10 years, at least one, if not 2 or 3. But my issue with Creed 3 and why I say it's a good movie and not a all-time great movie is because it did not flesh out Jonathan Majors' character enough that I think it really could have. I would have loved to have seen this movie go deep dive into it and show kind of how he felt and how he feels like he was betrayed by his friend. And even though at the beginning maybe he enjoys him per se, but he gets jealous throughout. He starts saying some stuff as he gets angry. People are speaking into his ears, and then he obviously turns the heel or the upset route that causes Creed to come out of retirement and fight. I would have liked to have that to be drawn out more, to be more subtle, to be more like you understand both sides. I do think this movie, at once Majors' character wins the belt, you kind of get this turn to like he's like mustachy, twirly, I knew it all along type villain, and I think that's where the movie is probably the weakest for me. I think he becomes very one note at that point as a character, and I would have loved to have seen him be somebody that I could empathize with. That when we got into the fight there, I don't know who was going to win because I would be happy either way, and seeing them come together at the end would have been a lot better and understanding throughout. Um, Instead, though, the fight near the end was a little bit rushed, and we didn't get anywhere near the breakdown with Jonathan Majors and his character as I was hoping. But either way, the movie was very well done acting wise. I really did enjoy Jonathan Majors in this movie. I really, really enjoyed Michael B. Jordan in his direction. You did see some kind of the ways the scenes were shot and how it was staged. Some, new director positives and new director negatives. But I think for Creed 3, it did $25 million this weekend, so it did about 55%. I know it got like an A minus cinema score. It's doing very well in theaters right now, so we're going to see Creed 4 and potentially spin off movies with Drago, maybe with Jonathan Majors' character and other stuff in the future. I can see Creed being, this type of show or being very good, movie being very good in like a TV show space on something like an Amazon itself, but yeah, tell me if anybody here, anybody has any thoughts on Creed 3, leave a comment down below, like and subscribe. But until then, we'll go on and talk about the next topic here. And I think this is the final one, which is The Mandalorian. Now, Star Wars is in a weird spot. We had things like Andor. I didn't enjoy Andor, but I know a lot of people did. Andor did very well overall, and people really, really did like that show. But Boba Fett was trash. Obi-Wan was trash. And they made a really stupid decision, The Mandalorian, where season 2 ended with Luke taking Baby Yoda, Grogu, and they put Mando and Grogu coming back up in the Book of Boba Fett. And I felt that for people who didn't understand that, they didn't show it in the preview, was a very weak, a very poor start to season 3. I'm going to be more negative here, and if you guys don't agree with me, let me know down below. Let me know in chat here if you're in chat. But I thought the first episode of The Mandalorian, we did a lot of, we had the what happened last on, where he talks to the armorer, and she says, you need to go bathe in the waters of our Mandalore mine. And then they had this, what looked like a great sequence of the armorer bringing in a new Mandalorian foundling into their thing. And you almost thought, was this a flashback with Din? It ended up not. And the Mandalorians there were all like struggling with this creature, and like nobody tried saving kids right away. They were all struggling. They have these jetpacks. They didn't really need to be in this. And then obviously Mando with the Naboo fighter saves the day, and he gets told again from the armorer, you must do this one thing, or else you are you're a proselyte. You're somebody who isn't allowed in our cult-y religion per se. So, and wasn't the biggest fan there of him kind of traveling back and now wanting to, we hit the remember berries with Babu Fett and the technicians, obviously the droid per se. We're seeing how the planet here has gotten better from being kind of a piratey down type planet. Now the planet is turning into more normal society. What used to be a bar is now a teacher thing. But you see remnants of what was left over. Pirates come in, and you had really cheesy Book of Boba Fett quality scenes with them, with Carl Weathers' character and Mando. You have the decently. I did like the space flight scene where he was being chased by the pirates, but then you saw the head pirate guy, and you're just like, oh my goodness, it's like the prequels. Why, why is this going to be a much longer, overarching story? Why can't we just have the pirates be a one type thing? Why do we have to have the head pirate be like, I'm gonna get you, Mando? And we know he's going to come back later this season, so we'll see where that comes later on. But and then a second, he ends up obviously with um, the what's her name? I apologize. So I haven't watched Mando yet since last week's episode. I forget what her name is. Let me look it up real quick on my phone. If anybody knows, you can put it in chat. Season 3 IMBD. Let's see, what is her name? I see it right here. I know Katie Sackhoff, but Bo-Katan. And seeing like now Bo-Katan has nobody following her. She's just idly chilling on a throne in this empty castle, just waiting for somebody to walk up on her. Like, it's just felt very stupidly choreographed and staged. Um, and then this episode, obviously, Baby Yoda goes back and gets her, and she comes and saves the day. I wasn't the biggest fan of this last episode either. I think it's just very convenient. It's very lazy, per se. And I'm just not buying it. And maybe that's me not being a good Star Wars fan at this point, but um, I think I'm checked out of The Mandalorian. I don't think I'm gonna watch him anymore. Maybe I'll binge it after it fully comes out. But I can't stay up and watch this week to week. It's not good TV. When you see something like The Last of Us, we have Succession coming out this week. Other shows out there. The Mandalorian, like a lot of Disney Plus stuff, is just not as good as it used to be. And it's a shame, but that's where it is. But I'm double checking. I think that's my last topic today. It's been about 31, 32 minutes. I'll probably split each one of these up and put them in individual YouTube videos throughout this week. I'll be back on Wednesday. We'll talk about what's coming out this week and more stuff like that. But if you stop by, thank you for stopping by. I had a great time. This is my first stream of hopefully many. If you see any of these things, like, subscribe, comment, and I'll be back next Wednesday to talk about what's coming out this week. But until then, have a great day, have a great night, and